Colombia and Venezuela lawmakers hold the first binational preliminary meeting following the reestablishment of diplomatic and commercial relations. President of Argentina, Alberto Fernandez, stated that it is necessary to investigate the financing of political groups linked to the assassination attempt of President Cristina Fernandez. Over 100 migrants, including dozens of Tunisians, were intercepted as they tried to reach Europe. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Marrero from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin with the news. Stay with us. On Friday, the first binational preliminary meeting between Colombia and Venezuela takes place at the Simón Bolívar International Bridge. The purpose of the meeting is to draw up a roadmap to solve border areas issues and attend to the needs of the people there. In this context, lawmakers analyze the economic repercussion of having reopened the common border, as well as the resolution of diplomatic issues, specifically consular services. These meetings should yield agreements to foster the well-being of the border population and to make headway in consolidating peace and stability in both countries. The President of the National Assembly of Venezuela, Jorge Rodriguez, reiterated that the national agreement established with the Congress of Colombia will allow progress to be made in issues that will benefit both peoples.
We have an agreement that will allow us the understanding of both Congresses to address in a common way social, commercial, economic, political, and social control issues that are fundamental for the harmonic development of the life of our border people. It is a very lively border of more than 4,000 kilometers of living existence, where there is a permanent flow of Colombian brothers towards Venezuela and Venezuelan brothers towards Colombia.
In the same context, Colombian Senator Gloria Flores announced that 5 regional meetings will be held along with the common border with Venezuela.
We are going to implement a common agenda of 5 bi-regional meetings. We are going to establish, and today's work is to define the dates where we will meet the Caribbean axis with the state of Zulia, the Andean axis with the state of Táchira, with Barinas and Apure with the departments of Arauca, the same with the departments of Ishara with Apure and Amazonas, and we will finish with the meeting in Guainia in the state of Amazonas.
In order to preserve the rights of migrants, the government of Venezuela activated a new operation of return to the homeland plan, receiving 251 Venezuelan nationals from Peru. The group arrived at Maiquetía International Airport on the Lima-Caracas flight, which landed on Thursday morning. According to figures provided by the Venezuelan Ministry of Foreign Affairs, more than 8,000 people have returned from Peru. With this group of Venezuelans, the plan has benefited 30,000 people so far from humanitarian missions. Peru, the country with the most returnees, followed by Brazil with more than 7,000 and Ecuador with 5,000. In Colombia, Major General Henry Torres Escalante confessed before the Special Jurisdiction for Peace to be responsible for the murder of 296 people while he was commander in the Army's 60th Brigade between 2005 and 2007. Torres Escalante accepted charges of perpetration by means of crime against humanity, murder, and forced disappearance of people. With a confession, the Major General becomes the highest ranking officer to accept responsibility for false positives during the government of Alberto Uribe Vélez. In the hearing, 17 other ex-military officers acknowledged their maximum responsibility as perpetrators of the murder in the 212 events that occurred in Casanare, Boyacá, Meta, and Arauca. President of Argentina, Alberto Fernandez, stated that it is necessary to investigate if someone is financing political groups linked to the assassination attempt on Vice-president Cristina Fernandez de Kirchner. During an event at the inauguration of Whirlpool plant in the Buenos Aires municipality of Pilar, President Fernandez urged the population and other authorities not to forget the attack against the Vice President on September the 1st. The head of state asserted that political violence against members of the executive cannot be allowed to take place, while he reaffirmed his support to the political leader. The Argentinian president demanded that the corresponding inquiries be carried out as soon as possible. The United Nations Security Council unanimously adopted a draft resolution establishing a sanctions regime for leaders of armed groups in Haiti. The decision of the Multilateral Security Organization welcomed the two resolutions, one to encourage a foreign armed intervention in the face of rising violence deepened by criminal gangs, and the other to impose sanctions on those responsible for the violence, including gang leaders. The measure seeks to try to curb the violence and help a violence-risk government recover at a time when the country is suffering from a cholera outbreak. In this context, citizens have taken to the streets in opposition to military aid intervention. Human rights organizations warn that the U.S. and Canada will sponsor chaos and criminality. They also warned that the alleged foreign aid will provide a population with weapons. Therefore, Haitian demands the resignation of Premier Ariel Henry for requesting a foreign intervention to combat armed groups. We'll take a short break now, but first remember you can follow us on our TikTok account as teleSUR English, in which you will be able to see news in different formats, news updates, and more. Stay tuned for more news. Welcome back to From the South. On Friday, the European Union head of states and government reached a final agreement and commissioned a concrete proposal to cap raising energy prices. For some, such as the Prime Minister of Hungary, Viktor Orban, the agreement is incongruent. The document signed in Brussels agrees to the intervention of the energy market. They commit themselves to jointly and compulsorily acquire at least 15% of the reserves, and to establish a flexible limit for the prices of gas purchase. To this end, European Union leaders entrusted the community executive with an urgent proposal. After 11 hours of negotiations, they closed the agreement, which left doubts such as those expressed by the German Chancellor. Germany fears that the gas produced will sell to other countries. Far-right leader Giorgia Meloni was named Italian Prime Minister on Friday after her Paris historic election win. Meloni becomes the first woman to head a government in Italy. President Sergio Mattarella tasked Meloni with forming a government after the handling formal task with all parties in parliament. The newly appointed Prime Minister is expected to present her government on Friday, and ministers will be sworn on Saturday. Shortly after she was named Premier, Meloni appoints Giancarlo Giorgetti as economic minister, who served under the previous government of Mario Draghi.
Minister of the Interior, Dr. Matteo Piantedosi. Minister of Justice, Honorable Carlo Nordio. Minister of Defense, Honorable Guido Crosetto. Minister of Economy and Finance, Honorable Giancarlo Giorgetti. Minister of Economic Growth, which will later be called Businesses and Made in Italy, Senator Adolfo Urso.
United Kingdom opposition parties continue to put pressure on the government to call for general elections after Liz Truss resigned as Prime Minister following just 44 days. Truss, who entered office through a leadership vote following the ousting of Boris Johnson earlier this year, is staying on as premier until the ruling Conservative Party picks a successor, which it aims to do by October 28th. That means the next leader will be second in quick succession without a public mandate. Meanwhile, the leaders of the Liberal Democrats, Ed Davis, also demand a general election, said it is time for the Conservatives to do their duty and give the people a say. Ultimately, a general election will only be called if a new premier or enough Tory members of parliament decided one to one. The Prime Minister's resignation forced a new internal elections in the Conservative Party so that her successor can be appointed by Friday, October 28th. This deadline imposed an accelerated process. Each candidate must have the backing of at least 100 of the 357 members of the parliamentary bench, which reduces the number of possible contenders to 3. One of the contenders are defined. 3 MPs will hold a first elimination round to select the 2 who will be succeeded by the scrutiny of the party's 170,000 members, although this step could be set aside if the candidates who come second withdraw from the race. As this party has a majority in the House of Commons, its new leader automatically becomes the next premier. Russia announced that Washington blocked the participation of its representatives in the next conference of the International Atomic Energy Agency to be held in the U.S. between October 26 and October 28th. The State Atomic Energy Corporation, Rosatom, describes these actions as hostile and stressed that it is disrespected to work of the international organization in cooperation in the field of peaceful use of atomic energy. In the statement, Rosatom stressed the need for Moscow to participate in the OIE ministerial conference to be held in Washington, where the security of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, which is subject to constant shelling by the Ukrainian armed forces, could be discussed. On the same subject, the Russian ambassador to Washington, Anatoly Antonov, stated that Moscow is doing everything possible to avoid a nuclear war and added that the Slavic nation remains committed to the position of the 5 nuclear power plants, that there can be no winner in the nuclear war and that it should be never fought. Russian President Vladimir Putin also accused the U.S. of participating in nuclear blackmail against Russia and recalled that Moscow has the means of destruction some more advanced than those of NATO to preserve its territorial integrity. We have more news coming up after this final short break, so don't go away. Welcome back. Over 800 migrants, including thousands of Tunisians, were intercepted as they tried to reach Europe via the Italian coastline from the Tunisian coast, the Tunisian National Guard said. Tunisian authorities announced that arrest of 48 people, including 6 wanted from affiliation to an organized gang within EU to illegally crossing maritime borders in different parts of the country. In recent days, the Interior Minister declared the arrest of over 1,300 smugglers. The mass departure of Tunisians are caused by the economic crisis with galloping inflation and an uncertain political situation. Faced with migratory pressure, the Tunisian authorities are struggling to intercept or rescue migrants because of what they said is a lack of resources. Tunisia is also the point of departure for thousands of sub-Saharan Africans and nationals of other poor or war-torn countries. Malawian authorities prepared for the autopsies on the remains of a number of suspect Ethiopian migrants found in a mass grave early in the week. Investigators are looking into the death as a potential migrant smuggling case. Evidence collected at this end indicated it were Ethiopian nationals between the age of 25 and 40, according to the police. At least 25 bodies were exhumed from the mass grave site in the Tanga Forces Reserve, located near the main road connecting Malawi and Tanzania. It is known as a road smuggler used to transport people to South Africa. Initial evidence suggests the Ethiopians buried in Tanga Forest Reserve might have suffocated while traveling in a van, according to the police. More bodies could be buried in the forest, officials warn.
We suspect this illegal immigrants is a big issue, and because Mzimba is almost like a transit point, I think they cross over here to go to Lilongwe. There's more needs to be done right away from the entry point in Karonga. We need agencies to work together with the local leaders. We suspect for them to be able to get as far as here, there must be an element of cooperation with the local leaders, or rather the local people. So it's an issue that we have to call upon local leaders also to be able to be vigilant in terms of using the local community policing.
The World Health Organization expressed concern over the growing Ebola outbreak in Uganda. 64 cases have been confirmed since the first report in September, of which 24 have died. Dr. Machirisa Moeti, World Health Organization Regional Director, expressed her concern about patient moves, which could increase the spread of the disease. In addition, Dr. Moeti welcomed the understanding of the chains of infection, which has improved considerably. Alarms about the risk of spread have been triggered by recent cases of the patients who traveled from the outbreak site, some 150 kilometers away. In Lebanon, the cholera outbreak that began at the beginning of the month has already recorded 160 confirmed cases. After remaining unaffected by the disease since 1993, Lebanon added the new outbreak to its political, economic, and financial crisis. The country's health system reported that the main factor of the increase of the cases is the consumption of contaminated water in several regions, and announced a set of containment measures such as the appointment of an epidemic response committee and the activation of epidemiological monitoring teams to take samples among the vulnerable population and water sources they access. At least 100 families and several homes were affected after a thunderstorm that severely hit several regions of Paraguay. Heavy rains and storm winds have lashed several regions in Paraguay for more than every 8 hours, causing damage and affecting a large number of families. In localities of the department of San Pedro, in the center of the country and in the southeast, people have been reported injured by the collapse of the roof of their homes, including several children. The Ministry of Emergency Secretariat confirmed that about 400 homes were damaged by the storm. With that story, we have come to the end of this brief. You can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our socials. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram as well. For Telesur English and from the South, I'm Ana Marrero, and thank you for watching.